The other day I posted in my team page on Facebook about a new Q&A. This is a Q&A episode number 13, I believe. And one of the questions that I got back was about squatting and how you can squat properly for your particular body type. Obviously, there's a lot of different variables that kind of coincide with this question regarding the height of a person, the femur length of a person, limb length, torso length, and all those things come into play when you're trying to dictate what I should look like when I'm squatting. Okay, so a lot of you most likely will look at somebody squatting or idolize a particular weightlifter and just think that the motion is so beautiful, so fluent. And that's because they're built to squat. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the different body types and how you guys can kind of try to perfect your squat. Now, before I get rolling with this video, I will say that there are a lot of good squat tutorials out there if you guys are not aware on how to squat yet, okay? My friend Lane Norton has a very good squat tutorial on bodybuilding.com, which covers pretty much all of the variables that kind of coincide with the squat. Another video, old school video, but very, very great quality, is one by Ben Escrow of Innovo Nutrition. Ben posted this years ago, and for a long time everybody was going to that video and just watching it, trying to perfect their own squat. So if you guys are not aware on how to squat yet, I would definitely recommend that you go either check out Ben's video on YouTube, just research Ben Escrow how to squat, or go to bodybuilding.com and check out Lane Norton's guide on powerlifting and how to squat there. So before I get started with the nuts and bolts of this video, I will say that once you actually know how to squat, it's important to note that everybody's squat's going to be different based on the leverages of your body, based on your body type. Everybody's squats might look a little bit different, and that's because of the variables that I mentioned in the first piece of this video. So your squat, if you're 6'2", is not going to look like the super efficient high bar Olympic back squatting 5'2" person that you've seen maybe on the Olympic Games, or that you see in the gym, or somebody, just a particular weightlifter that you may idolize. Your squat may look a little bit different, and that's okay. It doesn't have to look like theirs because your leverages are different. So we have to adjust your form, adjust what you're doing, and able to make it the most beneficial and most efficient for you. So the main question here is, how does your body type dictate the way that you should squat? Well, I have 3 different body types here. I'm going to start with this one, far one, the tallest one, the longest one. Okay, now typically this body type is something that you're going to see in the elite levels of sports performance, or the elite athlete, team sport, in the Olympics, Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps. Very long people, long arms, long legs, short torso though. You notice short torso in comparison to the limbs. So the proportions of the athlete are short torso, long limb. However, when we transition down this chart, you'll start to see that the proportions are a little bit different. Okay, so the proportions are a little bit different as we trend down. Now this person over here would typically be the most efficient weightlifter because they have the shortest femurs, the longest torso, okay, and they're just nice and compact. All right, now typically these people are able to perform the squat beautifully. Okay, you ever seen like the picture of the Olympic high bar back squat? And I'll insert a picture here. This is typically always the person that you see squatting just like that, that we all look at and we're like, holy cow, that looks beautiful. It's executed perfectly. I wish I could squat like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but not everybody can squat like that. Typically, most of us fit in that middle of the road area, okay? So we are typically in the middle of that road. We're like, you know, between 5'5" and 5'10". You know, maybe a little bit longer femur, maybe a medium-sized torso. These are typically the people that are the strongest. So when I think about people that are built like this, I'm thinking into the IPF. I'm thinking people like a Jesse Norris, people like Lane Norton, people like Dave Ricks, a lot of different squatters, people that are all in that like 5'8" to 5'10" range, with pretty solid proportions. You know, maybe a femur, somebody's femurs might be longer, maybe somebody may have a longer torso, but those are the intangible things, those are the variable things that dictate whether or not you can perform a squat that just looks effortless, or if you have to do more of like a low bar powerlifting back squat. It's dictated by femur length and torso length. So as an example, we'll go back to this taller athlete here, okay, this more elite caliber athlete. Now, how would we train somebody like this? Because in most cases, the back squat's not going to be optimal for them, okay? So you're talking about somebody like, this would be like a LeBron James, like a Usain Bolt, like a Michael Phelps, like people that are just, you know, world-class athletes. Okay? Well, their squat's going to look much different, okay? So their squat may look something like this. Okay? Because their legs are so long that the only way that they can hit depth, okay, the only way that they can get this angle right and be able to break parallel is by squatting with their upper body slanted forward, or having a lot of that forward lean, okay? Which, if you can low bar squat and you can get that barbell over the center of mass, which is your foot, in most cases you'll probably be okay. The only downside about squatting like this is that it places a lot of stress right on that lower lumbar, okay? Right on that lumbar. So if you can maintain thoracic extension and prevent your butt from raising before your chest starts to come up, in most cases you'll most likely be okay. But if this squat turns into a lower back lift, I would definitely recommend that we take this athlete here and kind of force his chest up slightly, keeping him in this position here, okay? And then actually not even back squatting. For an athlete like this, I'd probably recommend a front squat, unless you are completely 100% gung-ho on powerlifting specifically. Then we would have to take an athlete like this and move that barbell down as low on the back as we can, and in a sense almost perform a squat that looks very similar to a good morning. Okay, so for an athlete like this, I think the front squat would be the best exercise for you in regards to squatting in general. Now an athlete like this, a little bit shorter in the knee, a little bit shorter in the femur, a little bit more erect squat position. Something like that. Now typically you're going to find people who squat like this or who are built like this, like I said, typically are low bar squatters and are typically some of the strongest SOBs in the world. This barbell is straight over the midline of the foot. The athlete has to do a low bar, but their posterior chain and their lower back, lower lumbar, extremely strong, okay? So if you are built like this, that middle person, there's nothing wrong with doing a low bar, and there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of forward lean. Okay, because it's one of those things, it's what you're given, okay? It's one of those things that you can't necessarily change. Your leverages are your leverages. We can only work with them to the best of our ability and try to make sure that this athlete squats in the best possible fashion he can. Now what I see a lot of are people that are built like this, okay, who tend to want to squat like people who are built like this, okay? And in most cases, it's just not going to happen unless your mobility and your flexibility and all that is on point. I mean, it's possible. Somebody who is built like this, that can squat like this, is a friend of mine. His name is Mike Pucci. Mike Pucci is a big bodybuilder guy, but he can Olympic high bar back squat beautifully. Okay, I haven't seen too many people that can do that like he can, being built the way that he's built, but he can do it wonderful. Now somebody who is like this, you're going to notice that their squat, oh man, their squat is going to be, I mean, just picture perfect beautiful. That squat's just going to look so effortless, so fluent, just up and down, quad dominant. The main difference between this person is that this squat here is going to involve a lot of lower back. Okay, this squat here is going to be more quad dominant. So if you ever seen people who do more Olympic high bar squatting to where the barbell is directly over the center of mass, and it's going to activate the quadriceps a lot, and they typically have monstrous quads. Because this exercise is very, I think it's probably the best way to squat. I mean, if you want overall quad growth, it's got to be that one. But athletes like that can get away with squatting beautifully because they're built for it. So the whole idea of this video is just to show you guys that if you're built like this, or if you're built like this, don't try to squat like this, because in most cases it's not going to happen. If you're built like this, don't try to squat like this. Just squat the way that you're built to squat. And to give you guys a little bit more characteristics about each individual athlete, for instance, over here we're talking females that are under 5 foot all the way up to maybe 5'4". Again, it depends on your proportions whether or not you can get away with it, but under 4 foot, up to like 5'4", 5'5" female, and then up to maybe a 5'5", 5'6" male can typically get away with that squat and make it look wonderful. This person over here, this athlete over here, usually like a 5'5" to like 5'9" female, and then maybe like a 5'8", 5'9", all the way up to like a 6 foot, maybe like a 6 foot, 6'2" male. This athlete over here, we're talking tall, okay? We're talking, for female, we're talking like 5'10" and over, maybe 5'9", 5'10" and over, up to 6 foot, whatever. And then for males, we're talking most likely like 6'3", 6'4", 6'6", and up, okay? So I hope that this helps shed a little bit of light on how to squat for the different body types. And just by looking at these diagrams here, we all know people who squat like this. We all know somebody who squats like this. And we've seen people that are super tall and long trying to squat like this. So I hope that this video helps you guys. I really appreciate you watching it. If you have any questions or anything about this video, please feel free to leave a comment down below. My name is William with metabolicevolution.com. Hope everybody has a wonderful day, and let's bring in 2017. See ya.